Rare Reads presents Back to Haifa by Alaa Abudheir. Read by Masa. In an old neighborhood from the West Bank city of Nablus, where we had been residing for decades, kind, simple, and poor people used to live, with strong ties, strong to their roots, and with deep feelings of belonging to their homeland. They did not stop respecting their legacy and heritage, which continued to live in their memories and traditions. Childhood, with all this, inclusive memories and tales. These memories will not leave my mind until I die. The story of our neighbor, Abu Abed, particularly touched me. Abu Abed was a refugee who had been chased out of his city, Haifa. He could not stop talking about Haifa. Who may forget his boyhood, in particular if he belongs to such a beautiful city as Haifa? Abu Abed lived with his wife and children in a very little one-room flat from our neighborhood. He often told us about the hard conditions that betrayed his life. Before his deportation from Haifa in 1948, he used to work as a grocery merchant. I remember him in the 70s, while he was painfully pushing his old cart in the narrow aisles trying to sell some products so he could bring back some bread for his sons and daughters. He was an old man, and sickness would never leave him in peace. I remember his huge smile and joy when he and his sons managed to open a peddler to sell falafel sandwiches in the neighborhood. It was such a historical curve in the family history. Unfortunately, the project failed, and Abu Abed had to fall back on his old dream of returning to Haifa. Haifa is the most beautiful city in the world, was the well-known statement he used to repeat. He was in his third decade when he was deported, and he remembers all the details of his life in Haifa, its streets, its markets, and its neighbors. He will never forget the Al-Hamra cinema and the parties he used to join there, which were part of the cultural aspects of life in Haifa, a city considered as one of the most important Palestinian cities in the past. He used to visit our small shop in the neighborhood to share his recollections with us. My father, who was born in Jaffa and had undergone similar hardships, liked to chat and share memories with him. Abu Abed was always talking about the movies he watched in the Al-Hamra cinema, like the movies of Muhammad Abdul Wahab and Farid al-Atrash, Egyptian artists. Even though the neighbors had heard the same stories over and over again, I cannot remember that any of them ever got bored, interrupted him, or complained. They must have had too much respect for him, for his pride and glory. Every day, at 1 in the afternoon exactly, he used to request silence from everyone present in the room in order to listen to London station BBC, or as he liked to call it, London. This was his sacred hour, which under no circumstances could be disturbed. So, everyone followed the daily news and details with Abu Abed. The talks about a potential withdrawal from the 1967 occupied lands, international peace conferences, Henry Kissinger and other American intuitives, infiltration in Israel, invasion of Lebanon. I would hear him cursing and talking to himself while listening to the news. He was eager to obtain any news which might revive his hopes of returning to Haifa, the place where he could stand on the beach watching the sea, the place where is situated Al-Karam mountain, Al-Hadr neighborhood, and Al-Hamra cinema, where he may revisit his missed boyhood and his missing paradise. When the daily news ended, I was relieved. At last, this boring slow presenter had finished his boring news. I got fed up from hearing the same old news repeatedly. One day, I took the initiative of asking about Abed, "Why did you go to Haifa? Cars which are leaving to Haifa and Tel Aviv are available in the city center." I can still visualize the scene of those taxis. At the time when there was no need for permission to visit Israel. Call Haifa, Tel Aviv, Jaffa. There were no Israeli roadblocks throughout the way between Nablus and any Israeli city. Abu Abid answered, It is so hard to go there." I wasn't able to understand him. The road was open, and cars were available, so why? Haifa is only 2 hours away from here, and if he travels there, he will have the chance to see his city again, after decades of absence. If he keeps speaking about Haifa, why does he not simply visit Haifa? What a question! Often, man enjoys living in a dream and prefers to keep that dream away from reality, and does his best to avoid any possibility of making this dream come true. Often, man enjoys living in a dream and prefers to keep that dream away from reality, and does his best to avoid any possibility of making this dream become true. It is best to keep memories in one's mind and heart, not on the ground, where they will lose their glory. He was scared to have his memories shattered, to discover a city which is no longer his, no longer Palestinian. He was afraid the sadness of such a feeling would kill him. Haifa's beauty would stay alive in his mind. Years passed, and nothing changed in this forgotten neighborhood. One day, the sons of Abu Abid came to our shop, looking for their father who disappeared. We started to look for him, but we could not find any trace of him. On the third day, a policeman from the Nablus police station came to our neighborhood. He showed my father an identity card and asked him, "Do you know this man?" My father replied, "Yes, he is our neighbor and our friend. We have been looking for him for the past 3 days." The policeman said, "Bring his sons and follow me to the police station." In the police station of Nablus, the sons of Abu Abid were told, "This is your father's identity card. You have to go to the hospital of Rambab to collect his dead body." The medical report explained the identity carrier had a heart attack while he was walking in the street of Haifa. At last, after decades of strangeness in Nablus, Abu Abid went to Haifa to return to his memories and his boyhood. It was God's will to see this man die in his birthplace, which he never stopped thinking about, Haifa. It was impossible for him to forget it. How to forget what lives in one's heart and soul? Abu Abid lived this world, as well as his heart, which had always beaten strongly for Haifa. like the dove which is always eager for its first home.